blue line. It's great that Martier Down's going to go up the lineup and everything that goes with it. Sheldon Keefe talks about everybody stepping up. If you want to see what it means to play without top defensemen and the challenges you have, I'll just show you two teams, the Ottawa Senators and the Vancouver Canucks. Good luck having success when you don't have top-end defensemen in your lineup for any stretch of time. Can they do it for a game? Yeah. Can they do it for 2 games? Yeah. But long-term, and we're talking now about players that are out for a long time, and Morgan Riley and Jake Muzzin. So, yeah, this is a challenging time for Kyle Dubas, and one where he's got to find an answer or two.
And as Mark Masters mentioned, tomorrow night they will kick off a 4-game, 6-day road trip against the hottest team in the league right now, the New Jersey Devils. Craig, stick around. We're going to have you back to get your thoughts on some of the overachievers and underachievers a little bit later on in the show. The Canadiens play host to the struggling Sabres tonight. Buffalo has lost 8 straight games. Montreal plans to mix things up, promoting Juraj Slafkovsky to align with Christian Dvorak and Brendan Gallagher.
It's a great opportunity. I think, I've been waiting, and now it finally came, so I'll do my best, and yeah, then we will see.
He hasn't had many consistent line mates, so... I think when that happens, when you get juggled a little bit, you really have to focus a little bit on your job, yourself, not try to fit in with who you're playing with, but just play the game that's in front of you and bring your assets to the game. And I think Slav's going to do that.
It is Molson X Sport Canadiens hockey tonight, 7 Eastern. 8 o'clock Atlantic as the Canadiens take on the Sabres. Nick Suzuki has 6 multi-point games in his last 8 as he looks to stay hot. Coverage begins right after SportsCenter on TSN2 for viewers in the Habs region. All right, when SportsCenter continues, we'll take an in-depth look at how Canada's Ismail Kone has defied all the odds in reaching soccer stardom.
Class is in session. Next time, you wear your wedding dress. Not on my watch. Boy, stop running! Pretty good, right?
The Rookie Feds, all new, tonight at 10, 8 Mountain, only on CTV.
It's Black Friday at The Brick. Beauty Rest Hotel mattress, all sizes, only $8.99 each. Amos dining table, just $2.99. And 18 cubic foot fridge, only $11.99. Get the lowest Black Friday prices guaranteed at The Brick, saving you more.
There are lots of little choices we can make to help reduce plastic waste. Like Royale Paper Pack. It's the same Royale quality you trust in plastic-free recyclable packaging. Royale Paper Pack. Now available in large packs.
Hey, I'm Darcy Michael, and I'm going across the country to find out what it means to Canadians to live by the leaf.
Being there for your neighbor?
Being humble, being inclusive.
It's about the community. It's about everyone.
First day? Who are you after? Yep, we're making a ton of new shows and movies here. Jack will show you around.
Who's first? SEAL team.
We are not stopping.
Target approaching.
Target secure.
Kelly Riley.
Do I look like I need a cup of coffee?
And you haven't seen the half of it yet.
Stream blockbusters, new originals, and hit shows. Paramount Plus, a mountain of entertainment.
Oh, that's my piece of the shakaroni. That's the biggest one we make.
They donate $1 from every shakaroni to Second Harvest.
Dang, that's huge. If the hoop was as big as that pizza, maybe it'd have made some of your free throws. Somebody save me a slice. Where'd he come from?
Walmart is now closed. We wish you a happy holiday.
Welcome back to SportsCenter. It is the biggest stage in the world, and with it comes a huge opportunity, one that's not lost on Team Canada. And as they take to the pitch tomorrow against Belgium, one of the players who may have the most to gain wasn't even on the radar until earlier this year. And all that he's done since then is turn heads. With more, here's Rick Westhead with the story of Ismail Kone.
8 months before your first call-up, you were unemployed.
I didn't have a professional contract at the time. I was trying to get one. I was unemployed, basically. I was not a professional footballer. And then I get to a national team. Yeah, it's shocking.
Here he is in alone! Top of the net! It's Ismail Kone! Oh, Canada! Oh, baby, what a goal!
I'll say I'm a late bloomer. Never been to any camp in the youth. Never been to nothing.
It's a chance for Kone! Ismail Kone with a goal! What a year it's been for him!
I always trust my work, and I always knew this was the path that I wanted for myself. You know when you're a kid and you dream of whatever comes to your mind, this is where I'm at right now. I grew up in Ivory Coast. This is where I grew up for 7 years of my life. This is when I started to play football, when I was able to run. It's a big thing down there, and I think all around Ivory Coast is really like a religion.
I was hearing about Canada, and my friend was here also. She said, oh, it's a good country, so you can come and you can be comfortable here. I want to give to my son a good opportunity for his life. Last class in Ivory Coast, and the first class here is Jasmine.
When I came to Canada at first, there wasn't snow yet because I came in June. And then later on in the year, it gets snowy. But I didn't know that. When the first snow came out, I wanted to get a snowball. And I made my snowball and I put it in a cup. But I brought it inside with me. But I didn't know snow was gonna melt at that time. So I came back and it was all water. And I told my mom what's going on. Like I was sad and like my snowball was gone. This is my first memory, I could say, of Canada. Came here, all I wanted to do is play football. I was coming from another country, so I didn't have no friends, so I was playing by myself. And then by that time, I made a couple friends and started playing with them.
The moment I saw him with the first touch on the ball, I knew this kid had something different.
As a teenager, Ismail joined the Saint Laurent Soccer Club, and his skill soon caught the eyes of coaches at the Montreal Impact Youth Academy.
First time I tried out, I was 13. They took me in there, they said, we want you in, and then after they said they didn't want to bring me in because of my grades. Well, good enough. Second time, I think it was U15. I got invited. At this time, I think they just didn't want to take me.
It was really hard on him. He just couldn't understand because to him, his performance, everything was great, but I keep telling him it's just a matter of time.
After 2 failed attempts, Ismail got another tryout with the Impact Youth Academy in 2019.
The third time, I thought I was going in, but at the end I ended up not going. It's about timing.
I told him, doesn't matter, work hard. Someday it's gonna work for you. Maybe if it's not Impact, you're gonna find another thing in somewhere.
All those experience taught me a lesson, and I think I always trust my work. I always trust that I could be at this level one day.
He told me, I want to do it for my mom. As a kid to really start thinking of that, it was really amazing.
She's a single parent, and she was the only one that raised me, so it's difficult and it's a risk and it's tough. She's a strong woman, and this is why I'm thankful, because it's at the end of the day, it's only us two.
3 tryouts with the Impact, 3 rejections. Yet Ismail continued to work at his craft. And later in 2019, he and his Saint Laurent teammates played for an under-17 national championship.
The national championship, it's filmed, right? So I knew that if I would go to the competition, I would be able to get footage and then make a quick highlight of myself. But yeah, this video was the turning point, I think, to the next level. The biggest part of my career.
After he put that video on social media and everything, I guess people started noticing.
After a brief stint training in Belgium, Ismail joined CF Montreal in the fall of 2021. He stepped onto the pitch with the team for the first time this past February and made an immediate impression.
Arriving there, Kone! And Ismail Kone on his debut!
It's a bit crazy to say. It took them multiple years to finally bring me into the structure.
The 20-year-old who only made his debut for Montreal back in February gets the goal to give them the lead in round one.
All the hardships that he's faced along the way have only fueled him more and gave him more ambition to want to get to that end goal, and he proved them all wrong.
They gave me the chance to prove myself and to show what type of player I am. This is my job now, but it's my passion.
Ismail's rapid ascension continued in April. After only 4 professional games, he was called to the national team and got his first cap for Canada.
It was unexpected. I have to say mind-blowing.
It's really crazy. It's crazy to the fact that, like, we knew he would go far, but at this pace, we can't believe it.
I never experienced how the guys sing the national anthem. I see it on TV, but when you're like this, you experience it. And they're all singing loudly and proudly and with passion, and you're like, wow.
It's every kid's dream, all of us, to be there, and he's the one kid in Quebec who got that dream, so to actually be living that is so surreal.
What a way to score your first Canada goal in style.
I'm very proud of my son because he's playing for the big country of Canada, and it's not everybody who can play at this place.
Today I realized the risk that she took and the chance that she gave me to have a new life, and can only be grateful, and I thank her every day to give me this chance.
What's your message to other players who are in the same boat, who are told, you know, you're not good enough for this club or you're not there yet?
I would say to them, I wasn't the one going to Team Canada's camp, to go into the World Cup camp, going to the academy. I was the one that stayed true to myself and just knew that I was able to do it.
All right, still to come on SportsCenter with the Lions playing their best football this season. Find out the biggest threat they pose to the Bills ahead of their American Thanksgiving matchup on Thursday.
Closed captioning is brought to you by MNP, accounting, consulting, tax, and technology, wherever business takes you.
It's the Drive at Home holiday event at your Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealer. 'Tis the season to be shopping with our best offer of the year. Right now, enjoy 15% off MSRP on Ram Classic models. That's up to $10,000 in total discounts. Or unwrap the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever, with financing as low as 4.99% for up to 84 months. It's the most wonderful time of the year at the Drive at Home holiday event.
Found at the Bay. Shop gifts online and in store.
Hey.
You so vicious, you so clean,
So delicious. Got me dirty dancing, now the yelling gravy's lazy. Never gonna lose my soul.
First day? Who you after? Yep, we're making a ton of new shows and movies here. Jack will show you around.
Who's first? SEAL team. We are not stopping.
Target approaching. Target secure.
Kelly Riley.
Do I look like I need a cup of coffee?
And you haven't seen the half of it yet.
Stream Blockbuster's new originals and hit shows. Paramount Plus, a mountain of entertainment.
Turn hard-working days into happy nights. With steel chainsaws starting at only $249.99. Plus, for a limited time, save $70 when you purchase a Wood Pro Kit. Now only $29.99 at over 1,000 steel dealers across Canada. Find your local steel dealer today at steel.ca.
Welcome back to the show. After playing a home game Sunday in Detroit against the Browns, the Bills are back at Ford Field as the away team to take on the Lions for American Thanksgiving Thursday. Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen knows there's room for improvement despite the team's 7-3 record.
I think playing situational football and complementary football, obviously that's what Coach McDermott preaches day in and day out. You know, that's something we can still be better at, something that we're going to continue to learn from. But again, every time we step on the field, we're trying to score touchdowns.
This Detroit Lions team is a tough team. I don't think the record shows a clear indicator of, you know, what type of football team that they are. I think they follow their coach's lead, and he's a tough guy for sure. You can see the way they play. You can, you know, see how they finish each and every play. So there's going to be a hornet's nest for sure, and we just gotta, you know, do what we do, play Buffalo Bills football, and I think we'll be all right.
And Dave Naylor joins us now from Bills practice in still snowbound Orchard Park, New York. And Dave, as the Bills prepare for their return to Ford Field this week, what are the elements from Sunday's win over the Browns that they would like to repeat?
Well, I think first of all is ball security. That was the first game the Bills did not commit a turnover since week number 2. They'd had 8 in their previous 3 games, so that was something they were happy to correct. And the other is the diversity of the offense. You know, going back to training camp, the Bills had talked a lot about wanting to maximize each position group, and yet it had still been a very Josh Allen dependent offense, particularly Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs. But we saw their tight end, Dawson Knox. He had a season high, 7 catches for 70 yards, and particularly the development of the run game. Rookie James Cook had 86 yards. Devin Singletary had 86 yards. That's a 70 yards more combined output than they'd had at any point this season. And you know, Sean McDermott has talked about wanting to have a more balanced offense, wanting to have a real physical presence to that offense, and that's something that he saw on Sunday against the Browns. Josh Allen is still the leading rusher on this team, but now by just 3 yards over Devin Singletary.
On the other side, the Lions have won 3 games in a row. So what's the biggest threat that they will pose for the Bills on Thursday?
Well, I think it's their ability to score. I mean, we don't think of the Detroit Lions as a team that's efficient at moving the football, but they're averaging 25 points a game this season. And each of their last 2 victories, they've put up 31, and they have a good balance of running and passing. I mean, they are in the upper half of the NFL in both categories. And Sean McDermott, the Bills coach, certainly reciting some of the statistics that demonstrate how efficient this Lions offense has been. And I think he wants to make sure his team isn't looking past them to the New England Patriots next week. The other part of it, of course, and this is a week-to-week story with the Bills, they're expected to be undermanned on defense. 2 of their defensive linemen, A.J. Epinesa and Greg Rousseau, were held out of practice today. Also, linebacker Tremaine Edmonds did not practice, and obviously with this being a short week and the Bills playing on Thursday, it's very likely they will be without all 3 against the Lions.
Well, this will be the 3rd time in the last 4 years that the Bills will play on American Thanksgiving. They won the last 2 games. Dave Naylor, thanks for this. Here's Buffalo's future markets from preseason to now, courtesy of FanDuel. Their division odds have stayed the exact same despite being tied with Miami in the AFC East. Buffalo is still the Super Bowl favorite. Those odds have shortened from +600 to +400, where they currently sit. They're 9.5-point favorites in Detroit against the Lions on Thursday. Well, back to hockey, and even before Morgan Riley went down, the Maple Leafs were rumored to be looking for a defenseman. And now that the hole is even bigger, what does that mean for any potential movement? With more, here's Gino Reda and the Insiders.
They are the Insiders: Chris Johnson, Pierre LeBrun, and Darren Dreger. Jake Muzzin, TJ Brody, and now Morgan Riley. The Leafs' top 3 minute eaters on the blue line, all out. In a pre-cap era, it's fixable. But what do they do now, Chris?
Well, they can't just wave a magic wand, unfortunately, because they're facing a couple different challenges when it comes to addressing their roster. The first being the fact that it looks like they have tons of cap room when the Morgan Riley added to long-term injured reserve, but they have to protect that space for when he's back somewhere early in the new year. And beyond that fact, you know, they're carrying 50 contracts at this point in time. That means they would have to subtract a body to bring in anybody, even if it was a cheaper depth addition. And so they've tried to perhaps address that by putting Wayne Simmons on waivers Tuesday. No guarantees he's picked up, though. He passed through waivers earlier this season, and so they might be forced, in this case, the Leafs, to grin and bear it.
So much preseason optimism in Ottawa and Vancouver has now turned into the reality of battling near the league's basement. So what now on those fronts, Darren?
Well, look, Gino, the coach watch continues in Ottawa and Vancouver. There's so many holes in the Ottawa Senators lineup. maybe too significant to overcome. The players say that they support DJ Smith. Pierre Dorian, we know, is scouring the NHL. He hasn't found the right trade fit, which is why we are squarely now looking at the Ottawa bench one more time. And I might add, somewhat unfairly so. In Vancouver, I'm told it is status quo, in belief that there is a coaching change that is coming, but it could be days, it could be weeks, it could be months. So not a lot happening in Vancouver, but it does sound that Bruce Boudreau remains in the crosshairs.
One of the reasons it's so hard to make a deal right now is the asking price for available talent. Is there a better example of the high cost of talent than Jacob Chychrun, who returned to Arizona's lineup on Monday night, Pierre?
Yeah, played north of 23 minutes, by the way. I wonder how many teams noticed that. It is a high price. And listen, I think it's important to understand why Coyotes GM Bill Armstrong is asking for 2 first-round picks plus either a prospect or a young NHL player in any deal for Jacob Chychrun. Number one, I think he's looked at the Hampus Lindholm deal from a year ago where Anaheim got a first-round pick and 2 seconds for an older player who was a pending UFA, and Hampus Lindholm going to Boston. Of course, the Bruins signed him. There's a Brandon Hagel deal. Chicago getting 2 first-round picks for Hagel because of his cheap cap hit. Chychrun is young. He's got a bargain contract. And if history shows us anything in terms of the Darcy Kemper trade, where Arizona got a first and a young player in a third, Bill Armstrong is going to stick to his price.
What about Buffalo? The Sabres came flying out of the gate. Now they've crashed back down to earth. How's that playing out with Buffalo management, Pierre?
Well, Kevin Adams is staying calm. He does not want to react in an emotional way and make a trade he's going to regret. Believes in his team, but he's also obviously not too comfortable with the way things have played out here over the last month. This is a team that is completely lacking confidence compared to what we saw in the opening month and late last year. And so, yes, calm for now. Not going to do anything stupid, but the next couple of weeks are going to be important for the Sabres team to tell their GM who they are, because he will be ready to act to help this team. He's got cap space, unlike most teams.
Yeah. Back in the summer, Gary Bettman promised to be transparent in the league's investigation into the sexual assault allegations involving members of the Canadian national junior team from 2018. What's the news on that front, Darren?
Well, the news is, Gino, that progress is being made. Now, the National Hockey League is not going to get pinned down on a timeline to disclose their findings, but an NHL source says that they are substantially complete in terms of the investigation and the interviews involved. In the investigation, they will coordinate with London Police. A London Police representative said they can't comment on an active investigation, which the police department continues to conduct, but when they do, they will sync up with the NHL.
All right, they are the insiders, Chris Johnston, Pierre LeBrun, and Darren Dreger.
All right, ahead on SportsCenter with his impressive start to the season, strength in numbers, looks at why the Sharks' Erik Karlsson could be in a favorable position at the NHL's trade deadline.
This the biggest bounce of the summer.
Hey, if you're coming then come down, play. If you feel too shy, then watch for me. Watch for me.
Shake out. This the biggest bounce of the summer. If you ain't coming, that's a bummer.
Watch for me.
This the biggest bounce of the summer.
Hello, world. I'm on TV. Newsflash, I'm killing it.
What's he doing?
Topped his Harvey's burger just the way he wanted. Extra Harv sauce. Now he thinks he runs the show.
Ooh, swivelly. Isn't he the teleprompter guy?
John, stop being wrong.
I'm the boss now. Oh, better believe. I'm the boss now. Come on, it's a beautiful thing.
Walmart is now closed. We wish you a happy holiday.
Hello, Canada. Hockey. Love it. And
Now I got something you're gonna love. The Epson EcoTank printer. No more expensive cartridges. Snapshot. The Epson EcoTank. Just feel and chill.
'Tis the season for families to dine at Swiss Chalet and enjoy the festive special. Our famous rotisserie chicken, cranberry sauce, stuffing, and Lindor chocolates. It's a tradition truly worth sharing. The festive special, only $16.49 at Swiss Chalet.
At Fountain Tire, when we say we're on this road together, we're talking any road. Doesn't matter what vehicle you drive. Steady? Woo! Or where you drive it. We're here for quality tires, auto service, and advice. There's a bug in my mouth. So whenever you hit the road, be confident we're on it with you. Hey! The horn! Yeah! Okay!
Fountain Tire.
One more time!
We're on this road together.
Welcome back to the show. Here's a look at the NHL scoring race. No surprise at the top, but how about Erik Karlsson, tied for third? He already has 11 goals. That's one more than he had all of last season. It's also his highest total since scoring 17 in the 2016-17 season. The 32-year-old Karlsson is on pace to become the first defenseman with a 100-point season since Brian Leetch back in 91-92. With more, here's Megan Chayka from Stathletes.
Before this season began, Erik Karlsson's contract, which runs through 2027 with a cap hit of $11.5 million, appeared to be untradeable. But just when many had written him off, Karlsson has turned back the clock with 29 points in his first 21 games. For any GM who might be interested, it's important to ask, is this just a crazy hot streak shooting percentage bender right now? Or do the analytics back up the notion that vintage Karlsson is here to stay? Before we look at his skating, we can't ignore the fact that yes, Karlsson is on a heater right now, and no one should expect this insane production to continue at this level. He's averaging nearly 2.7 points per 60 minutes of ice time. Even in his Senators' heyday, when he was considered a top 3 player in the world, he was only at 1.55 points per 60. Karlsson is scoring on 16% of his shots this season. His career shooting percentage is 6.8. So that's due to come back to earth at some point as well. But here's what's most encouraging for Karlsson and the fans who want to see him dominate like he used to. His skating and puck-carrying abilities resemble the pre-injury version of Karlsson. The one-man breakout is back in full force, as Karlsson currently leads all defensemen in zone exit carries per game. He's also second in zone entry passes, so his puck control and passing ability are working in unison with his vintage skating. Those are the same elements of his game that made him so special all these years.